Oh, here we go. No.
Well, let me finish.
Oh,
Welcome to the Darkest Timeline Podcast with Jeong, McHale, and Jeong. Got through it.
who are you yelling
Boom.
at? Now it just sounds
Yes.
like a crazy person.
Ah.
But anyway, tell us about your MTV Movie Award. I'd love to hear about it.
I'm glad you noticed, Jeong. I won
hmm
this. It's actually not a movie award. It's actually a piece of caramel popcorn that I just have back there that I just forgot to throw away.
It just looks super shiny all the
Yeah.
time. It's next to other awards like a microphone and then some antlers.
Yeah. You know what? That was Spike Awards 2010 Hangover. Thank you for
Oh,
bringing
you
that
won a
up.
Spike Award?
No, I was part of a team of people that won the Spike Award. It was.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the people at Spike lately? I mean, have you talked with them?
Talk to them. I have a development deal with the people at Spike.
With
It's
Spike?
still on, right? I think it's still. I was just email.
You know,
They kick back a
No.
lot of my emails, but I get a lot of them kicked.
You got a
back anyway.
UPN award up there too?
I got a UPN. I got the WB award that was given by Jay Frog himself.
Now, what's on the very top shelf there? I can see up there. It looks like some sort of.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think you knew. That's called a football.
That's called.
Now,
Oh,
that's used
That-
in a game. It's an athletic game.
oh, that was
Have you ever?
that was autographed from somebody. I have like three
Oh, no, I was
pieces of
making
memorabilia there. There is a Wilson football autographed by somebody I forgot, and then there's some Adidas there that was autographed by Derrick Rose. I did like an Adidas ad with them. Fast Don't
Did?
Lie. Fast Don't Lie 2010. You can still available in YouTube archives. So
Still?
Yeah, still available. Still available.
Have you ever thrown that football? Do you know how to throw a football?
I know how to throw a football. I know how to watch, and better yet, I know how to watch people who know how to throw footballs. And anyway, welcome to the Darkest Timeline Podcast.
Welcome.
The reason why I was doing I actually did this thing for YouTube Learning where it's where
Yeah, that's an oxymoron for you.
it was next to YouTube Drawing and YouTube Reading. It was YouTube Learning. They are starting a program where you get celebrities to teach like high school kids biology or like different subjects. And I actually taught a little bit of the digestive system, and then I actually taught about cellular respiration. It was so much fun, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend you do it. I highly recommend anybody who's a public figure do it because it. I have.
You think I should teach digestive respiration?
It's cellular respiration, so I think I would.
What is it?
I think you can just teach them, how to wear a cap on backwards, maybe.
Well,
I think if they had
that
that
seems.
curriculum, or how to make your background look fuzzy, like you're literally behind a green screen.
I feel like it makes it more kind of.
How to
Serious.
Snapchat filter with Joe McHale. I think there's value in that.
I like it because it makes me look like I'm in a music video from like 7 years ago when they figured that out.
It does look. It does look like you're the sergeant at arms of a Lip Biscuit like fan club or something.
Do you think I should stay with this background?
Dude, I love it. No, I'll real talk. Keep it. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, I don't even know what I just did.
Dude, you got to put it back on. Put it back on. I was kidding.
Oh no.
Man.
Oh
Actually, it's
no.
fine. It still works up.
I can't even see you.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
Did you lose?
I totally knocked out the video. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let's see.
Wait, was your computer bored by this conversation?
I don't understand how. Okay, this should do it. Oh, there we did.
Back on. Okay, back on. Crisis averted. Crisis averted.
What a way to start.
It's okay. It's okay.
This week was so successful. I just couldn't even get the. And by successful, I mean at no point we didn't get anybody that fell asleep, according to some.
I know.
Right.
Well, no, but I was explaining. YouTube Learning was asking me, can you because before I didn't have any awards there. So would you mind putting some awards in the back just to make look like you did something? And I said, I don't have any awards here. And they're like, can you just like go to another room and get awards? So it took me half hour to get like awards from the early aughts to like put up there. And this is all like vestiges from something I did a couple of days ago.
Next to the cup, the best of something.
What does it say?
It's yellow and red. It's round.
That's like a certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes. It was like I think Crazy Rich Asians got an award from Rotten Tomatoes of
Well, you had
and I stole it from Aquafina. I don't think it's even my award.
Okay.
So all these awards are stolen from other people.
Are you in the next Crazy Rich Asians?
If there will be one, I hope I am.
There one?
I think they're talking about it, but right now, as of everything being suspended,
Cool. But weren't they talking about a sequel almost the day after it was a hit?
Yeah, they've been talking about the sequel probably even before it came out because it's based on a trilogy of books.
So could you say right now, Jeong would like to announce
I honestly think it would be. I think it would be very unprofessional to even mention it at all. I think even if someone says it, I think even if another person says it, I think that would be being very unprofessional to say.
December of 2021.
I think if they even said a date in December, I think to even pin it is. I just think it's a bad look all around.
Just
even
say,
if I don't say it and someone else says it.
Jeong.
Even on a podcast, if someone, even not me, says it, I think it's a bad look, in my opinion. In my honest opinion. It's
Jeong would like to announce the additional movies and a television spinoff. Just go ahead. All right, let's talk. Talk
man,
the virus. This fun thing. This is why we have to be like this. I know I can see the look in your eye. It's like like a Vietnam vet. They just.
I know. Is everything that's remotely charming about me goes away when you. The more you read the news, the more you do a deep dive.
You didn't have any charm. Don't worry. No one's missing it. I call it your Jason Bourne eyes when you go into you start talking about stuff like this.
You're literally the only person I can talk about this because you'll just puncture it with a zing that I so desperately need. And then shout out to Allison Brie because I was probably in my worst mood ever, on the podcast, and I just needed a laugh. It was. I literally just needed to relax, and honestly, I had printed out and here's even, with the podcast, what I these are all printouts of questions. I literally have 30 printouts of questions of I wanted to answer and do due diligence. And then we just got stuck on these tangents. I know it's not even a bit anymore. It's just, I literally wanted to ask questions, and it's so funny. We just need to find a way to answer these questions. But before that, yes.
We'll never get to the questions.
Yeah, but before that, COVID updates, COVID-19.
Let me ask you some stuff.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Okay, so we keep... Yeah. So for those of you believe it's going to be entertaining. Don't worry. But it's good for you. This is why Ken is good. Hold on for a compliment. He's able to take information that I go, huh? And he will distill it down very fast, and then we'll get on to why Leonard was wearing a yellow shirt in season 5. Okay, so all right. So I've been. Did you see Bill Gates put a bunch of stuff out about that? He put out this paper with a bunch of information about it because he's funding.
I have not read that, but I know he's working with Inovio, the drug company, for a vaccine. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but no.
Yeah, and so I guess he started talking about convalescent serum.
Yeah, convalescent plasma. Yeah, that
which is where after they take. Okay, so the difference between somebody. Tell me the difference between this: somebody who's already had it, and somebody who is who is resistant to it. Do they have the same? Does that make sense?
I don't know about resistant to it.
Is anybody
immune to this, or someone who's already had it? Or I'm sorry, I have to read that article to do due diligence. It's what I strangely took away. It might be the wrong takeaway, and so just forget the article. But okay, so there's people that are asymptomatic and are not going to show they're not going to really get it, that they're not going to get the full blown version of it, possibly. So people who are testing positive and have no symptoms. So you're talking about that population. I mean, there was a study that came out at the beginning of the week that showed that people in Santa Clara County, more people tested positive than they expected, and they concluded that there was a higher percentage of the population in Santa Clara that could be positive COVID-19 and not have symptoms. So,
and ever have symptoms?
It's possible. It's possible that people that and there are people out there who are carriers of it. And I mean, what was really
but they'll never show it.
But right, they might be, and therefore at risk of shedding that virus to somebody who may show it. And that's why the stay at home is so it's a broken record by now, and I get it. It's been over a month. No one wants to stay at home. The weather is amazing outside. So, but the reason why that's still being, recommended is, except in certain states, but that right now that's starting to do that, and more about that later. But the reason why they're starting to do that, that they're wanting people to stay at home is not just to protect yourselves from getting the virus, but if you have it, or either let's say you got immunity or you're an asymptomatic carrier, then you don't want to pass that along to somebody else. Let's say you don't want to pass that along to an elderly person who's got a history of high blood pressure, heart disease, and asthma that's at high risk of getting severe symptoms from COVID-19.
Do they have the same antibodies as people that have had it and have gotten over it?
Okay, there's, and this is something I was talking about to my wife, to Tran, was who's also a practicing physician.
How many wives do you have?
Huh?
How many wives do you have?
Doc Antle, what?
No. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And it was, and I was asking, what if I had like 8 wives? Like seven of them were doctors, and one was and then 7 of them were MDs, and one of them was a DO, a doctor of osteopathy.
I know what a doctor of osteopathy is.
Yeah, and of course, Joe McHale and I were just talking about that. But that was in my mind grapes.
That would be funny if you were like a hardcore polygamist, but you only were with doctors for some reason. And then you were like dating a nurse. But you didn't realize that she was a nurse. You thought she was a doctor.
Yeah, that's the idea of like... That's the idea of, I love that concept of like the idea of getting your willies as a polygamist of nothing but MD wives. Like, don't even, and all the wives are telling me, don't even say that you were flirting with that PhD. Okay. How dare you flirt with that lowly PhD? It's like of biomedical engineering, That's my idea of a wild ride.
It's like really coming to Amazon Prime.
Yeah, coming to Amazon Prime. But
you were talking to Tran.
So I was talking to Tran, and the World Health Organization, they issued a statement saying that just because you may have had the infection of COVID-19 doesn't necessarily mean that you're immune to it. So there's not official data coming out officially that if you have antibodies to it, that you are 100% totally immune, because there have been reports of people who are technically reinfected, and who had it once, had the antibody, and then had it again. Now, we don't know, is that due to a lab testing error? Is that due to other mitigating circumstances? And I'm getting into the weeds here, so it's going to be hard to follow. But if there was a lab error that had some either false positives or in the lab test or other things, and people smarter than me can explain that.
So everyone
can explain that. One of my wives can explain that on a better level and more clearly than me. But to answer your question right now, everything is still a crapshoot. We're moving on with testing. We're moving on with convalescent plasma that you're talking about with the Gates Foundation and Inovio, and they're also working on a vaccine. And it's hard to see where the end game is right now. And I tell you, the end game is achieved, and this is what I've been saying the last 2 episodes, is achieved with a vaccine. That's the bottom line.
Right. Of course.
And everyone is like, the vaccine won't be out for 12 to 18 months. And I'm saying, if you want to, if CNN has an MSNBC and all the news shows, they have like cases, deaths, countrywide and worldwide, they might as well say like countdown to vaccine, because that's when the recovery really happens. Whether it's 18 months, 36 months, whether it's September that I actually heard from the NIH lead researcher like 2 weeks ago who talked to Anderson Cooper and Sanjay Gupta, said in a perfect world you can get a vaccine out by September and then distribute it wide in March of 2021. That's if everything went without a hitch. But you can't. And she
that's
had a
if
lot,
every single
thing but as a physician,
which never happens,
and as a physician, it's our responsibility to say, it's our responsibility to say 12 to 18 months, so that's why if you ever get bad news from a physician, and if you, for a loved one, they'll say, we give you 5 months to live, and that person lives 5 years, and it is your duty to give the worst case scenario, because if you give something false, then it's the outcome and the expectation by the patient is way worse, which is why, not to politicize, but which is why what POTUS, by saying certain things, by saying things that are, his intention is to give hope and optimism in something that is incredibly bleak, and to be so clumsy about it, and to even say disinfectant, and to say, using sunlight and mangling words that even I would not be able to articulate that well, and then subsequently have hundreds and thousands of people call poison control centers all across the country saying, is this real? That's where you got to be careful with the false hope. That's where you got to be careful.
Shit.
Exactly. That's where you got to be careful with that. And, no need to, shoot fish in a barrel and say, what Trump said was stupid. Even he knows it was stupid. So I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole where we get it, and I also get that. I think one of the hardest jobs in the world is to be a medical advisor right now to Trump, because it's just walking on eggshells, and you need those people around him to give valuable information. I get it. I get I get the subtext. I get reading between the lines. But right now what's happening is if Trump's saying, like, I'm not going to do any more press conferences, everybody, both sides, Republican, Democrat, and in between, hallelujah. Because right now we just don't need any bad information. And I'm only talking from a medical standpoint right now. Hallelujah, because I just don't want any more misinformation right now. Because, if he's like, well, there's nothing good to say. Well, no shit. There's nothing good to say, because nothing good is happening right now. Right now we're over like 31 days of like staying at home, and it's warm outside, and it's not just indicative to one red state. Everybody's going out. Everyone wants to go out. Beaches in California are being open right now. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah, you want to go to the beach. You want to show that thing off, right?
Everyone knows all the ab work that I've been doing these past 6 weeks. So it is dramatic. It's really hard, and it's human nature. I don't fault anyone for wanting to go out right now. I don't fault anyone, because everybody wants to go out. No one wants to do this. And that is why, and I was even bringing up to my wife, like, how come no one is talking about a vaccine? Like, how come no one's fast-tracking a vaccine? What if because the virus is stable? And I know I got a comment saying, like, well, there have been 30 mutated strains of COVID, of COVID-19. I know, no shit. But they're just very predictable strains. Actually, those mutations that are happening right now are predictably good, because we can anticipate that. Yes, a virus will mutate. A virus will mutate very tiny bit, but it's not without the realm of containment or like of control of that virus. So,
but that's unlike seasonal flu, right? Where every year we know it's going to change on a dime.
That will significantly mutate, and a lot of that is guesswork. And who knows?
But this one's good because it's not mutating them.
But right now it's not. Yes, but who's to say that it won't significantly mutate next year? We don't know.
I say it won't.
Okay. Okay. If Joel says it won't, but right now there's a lot of guesswork that comes out, and I think what makes it really hard. I just read this in the New York Times Magazine today. Was that what makes it hard to do a vaccine is. It's not, it's hard to make money off of that, because if you have one treatment that will stop a disease, where's the repeat business? It's commercially, like, inviably not profitable. Now, if you did pan-viral vaccines that would cover COVID-19, SARS, and MERS, they're all cousins of each other, yes, that would
But
I'm just saying right now, that's the conventional thinking. That's pre-pandemic thinking. And
right now we're here.
But now we're here. And
you're going to make a ton of money, and the world will now want also. I mean, as they make all those things, but now the world wants to be ready for the next one, so they're going to do well at least.
Well, I think there was just an article that I just didn't literally it just popped up on my Twitter feed by the former chairman.
Are you on
the
Twitter?
FDA. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, and that popped up on my Twitter feed in the Wall Street Journal. That just the headline was, the U.S. needs to get out of vaccine ASAP for a lot of different reasons. And you want to get that vaccine out quickly. For me, from a medical standpoint, but he was arguing from a standpoint where he believes that the American vaccines will be most reliable, maybe more so than Europe and China. I'm not at liberty to say that, and I don't even want to go there. But to me, it's getting a vaccine that works systemically, worldwide, as quickly as possible. And I honestly don't know why, more people, even in the medical media, that should be a focal point.
Aren't yelling and screaming.
Because literally, and that's where the people in charge can make a difference. If you're a president who trusts science, and really, Andrew Cuomo just said this today. It was like thinking outside the box. If you really want to think outside the box, lean on the NIH, lean on the CDC to get that vaccine, to get those predictions, what that NIH lead researcher says, and get something out ASAP. And I mean, if you can do that and mobilize, and they're like, well, it cost $1 trillion to distribute this worldwide. We can't get it out that fast. Okay, then subsidize, eliminate the middleman of profit, subsidize a worldwide distribution of this vaccine. Because right now it's a pandemic. It's solve the pandemic first and then go for the profits. And what people are doing, everybody, is trying to profit while solving.
Right.
And to me, and I get that, but right now we have to solve the pandemic.
You got to see it long term that if you spend, let's say, $500 billion on a worldwide, the whole system gets vaccinated. That's going to make you're going to make so much more money in business after that. Everybody will, because
it's not about profit. It's not about profiteering off the pandemic.
Yeah,
it's about,
because you're going to make everyone's going to be back at work and everyone's going to be out and everyone's going to be able to do their thing and open restaurants. And
we all benefit with the vaccine. You put us if we're a credit card right now, and we're trillions of dollars in debt. We wait to go credit neutral and then make our profit. Right now, we're way behind in debt, in whether it's healthcare, whether it's an economy, and you use the vaccine to become credit neutral. I mean, for me, financially, the biggest financial achievement of my life was when I was in residency and I was making less than minimum wage. I was working 90 hours, making less than minimum wage at a hospital for 3 years. And as part of a bonus that this hospital instituted, we got a $10,000 bonus. I used all of that to pay off any outstanding debt. I didn't spend on anything else. And to me, it was
definitely not wardrobe.
Definitely not wardrobe. I think North Face took my jacket today. But to me, it's about getting to being budget neutral, and then we go on with our lives of economic recovery and profit. And I think that I think that, and I'm not I come from the opportunity to come to this country as a minority. Like my parents, who are Korean descent, they came to America for capitalistic opportunity, for a land, for financial opportunity that they could not have in other countries. So I'm all for making a profit, but right now there will be time to make a profit later. It's like this podcast right now. We have no ads. We have no sponsors. There'll be time to discuss any of those things later. Right now, we just feel a need to do this.
Except for Coke Zero, Vanilla Orange.
Coke Zero and North Face.
Both
are North Face keeps you warm. Coke Zero keeps you cool. But aside from that, we want to have no sponsors or there's something to be said about just kind of being,
right.
you know,
No, I mean, it's
whatever that means. Whatever that means.
No, it's you want. Yeah, my thing is that there's these. You're right. That these people are trying to profit while we're doing this. And it was like, no, if you get that thing out now, as soon as possible, if you get it in September, as opposed to a year from September, think that how much profit could be made in that year after you get. If you get as soon as you get that vaccine, business is going to come back, no matter what.
Business
and
will come,
that's why people are so hopeless. I'm like, there will be a vaccine. This is not like entering World War II, where we went, who knows where this ends? We might not win this war. We don't know. But the end game is, there's no doctor that going, I don't think there's ever going to be a vaccine. No one's saying that, right?
No one's saying that.
No, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And
you know, and I don't want to give any, you know, I also don't want to give any misleading statements about like, oh, like this is, you know, this podcast is a purity test, or people have to be of pure intent. People are still making livings right now. They're even like, it was a great thing that I appreciate you doing the Masked Singer after show, like you and me. You know,
you're welcome.
It was like it was nice to do. That was a for-profit show. That was like, I appreciated doing that, and it was like the most fun I had on TV in a long, long time, because
Brett Michaels kept at least 4 different mascara companies in business.
But you were.
Oh, he's a nice man.
Isn't he like? I mean, what did you have like a little bit of a pinch me moment, like I'm back to my childhood? Well, that's right. Talk Dirty to Me was on your playlist, right? So.
Oh yeah.
It's just
I will.
We all have those childhood moments, like
it's
Skyping.
On my workout.
Yeah, like FaceTiming or Zooming with Brett Michaels, and shout out to Kelly Osbourne. She literally was.
She's so funny.
So funny. Like she could just be the permanent kind of laugh track to.
And she knows how to wear a turban, unlike Nick Cannon. This is a challenge, Nick. Nick.
I like what Masked Singer did. They actually had a Zoom audience, which I didn't know they would do this. Like 200 people on that Zoom audience, and it's the first thing where it felt like real loud. And they did it afterwards. So they showed it edited, and then they did it for a Zoom audience, and I thought that was...
Ken's talking about another show that he is on. Because I at first thought, why are they don't use a laugh track? And then they kept cutting away to them. I was like, oh, this is great. And this is a great way to get a real reaction from an audience.
Yeah.
In real time. I thought that's going to be the future for a while, I think.
Yeah, I think SNL, did you see SNL's like home version the other day?
I saw what they're doing, and I saw a couple. I didn't see the whole show.
It was very good. It was very good. They're really, like, all the sketches I noticed are all embraced. If they had a game show, it was all embraced, you know, in real time. Like, okay, we know we're in this COVID pandemic, but let's do this game show anyway. They're writing from a really good, you know, just kind of it's hard to monetize off of these mediums now, but they're doing virtual live comedy shows. But it's also hard to write for those mediums, you know, more importantly. And I thought that I feel like they
and then you never gave a B.
Say B.
Like A, and then you said something, and then you kept talking,
you know,
and I was just like, so there was just one point.
You know who I saw? The reason why I think that I was just flashing my mind. Do you know Ted Alexandro, a comedian out of New York?
No,
he's brilliant.
But I don't know anybody.
He is like a genius, and he did.
Is that intimidating for you?
No, anyone, even non-geniuses, are intimidating to me, which is that's why you scare me. And so, but Ted Alexandro, he had a YouTube special that was just all Instagram lives of him, a daily diary of coronavirus, and it was really almost like a live podcast compilation, but it was funny, it was real, and it was, you know, I put it on Twitter just to have everyone watch it, because I feel like that's kind of the new normal that every stand-up comic should do. It's not, I don't know about, and maybe a virtual audience like After the Mask did, but I thought what Ted did was really perfect. So if you go on his YouTube page, Ted Alexandro, I thought that was like, if you want like a YouTube, like if you want like, oh, I want to see a stand-up special right now in real time, I don't think there's anyone better than Ted's right now. It's so good, and it's.
Do you think it's better than your special?
I think everybody is better than my special. That's
Oh,
how
come
little
on.
I think of my comedy.
I was trying to insult
That's
you,
how
and then
everybody.
I was trying to rib you,
Yeah.
and then and then you steered right into it. Now I look like the jerk.
No, you've looked like that many times. See, Joe McHale playbook.
How dare you? But let's take a moment
Hmm.
to check out the USA Today behind Ken and what's going on,
That was
and what prescription for laughs
2009.
is he writing
Oh my
today.
God! Can you actually? It says
Yes,
Ken Jeong
that's
from
prescription
doctor
for-
to in demand.
To
in
news
demand.
and record.
Yeah, Greensboro News and Record. That was like my. That was back in 2009. I think actually that my hometown had a Chang. That's the Chang picture, and it was like.
Your hometown had like a statue?
No, yeah, no. It has a statue of Luis Guzman. I couldn't get that, but I got a photo of me.
Okay, so then Ken, going back to the Masked Singer. Do you think? No. So what they're doing in just one last COVID question.
Yeah.
What they're doing in Sweden and what they're doing in Denmark. Denmark just started allowing kids to go to school, and Sweden hasn't stopped. And as Bill Gates said, if you look at Google Earth and I guess they do live shots from satellites, they're like they completely change their behavior. It is not the same. And obviously in Denmark, kids are staying 6 feet away from each other. Yeah. And kids are less, obviously they're not getting it the way that adults and compromised immune system people are getting it, and elderly, right? Do you think kids should go back to school if there are a zillion safety protocols in place?
Oh man, that's a loaded question, man. I didn't know you. Man, that's a really good question because, that's a really good question. And this is all about. That's a public health question that everybody has to think really deeply to answer. Right now, in the middle of a pandemic, you can't go wrong, in my opinion, by everybody staying at home. If you just stay at home, I feel like you just stay at home. To me, I just feel honestly, right now, I mean, like look at Georgia. Look, there was an article that came out even in Arizona. They had people protesting in Arizona, and they all came out. And there was a spike in COVID-19 infections after those protests. So to me, in this country, we're nowhere ready right now, because even if things are reopened, people are still staying at home because that's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I'm not talking economically. I'm not talking politically, but I'm talking medically. The right thing to do is to stay at home. So to me, that's where I firmly stand on it until otherwise. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Gillian.
Oh, hey, Gillian.
Oh, hi.
How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. I just needed to get my mind off of. You just came at the right time because I was
Did
just
you
on
get assaulted by a rainbow?
Leave her alone, Joel. Just say a good
Knocked
hello.
over?
Just say, how about like, hi, Gillian. Just say.
Whimsical creature ride Sorry, it looks great.
Thanks.
Yes, I'm the. That's how Joel greets everybody.
I've never met him before, so this is all new to me.
Really? Is that brand new?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's nice.
we didn't. That's the crazy part about Community is that Gillian and I never had any scenes.
Yeah.
I
They
know.
CGI'd in the whole time.
Her and John Goodman are the people I really wanted to act with, and I just never got a chance.
John Goodman and I weirdly did all of our scenes together. Most of his stuff never aired, but for 6 years I worked with John Goodman almost exclusively.
I thought Community was all about the romance between the vice principal and Britta. I always thought that was like the backbone of the show. So
Is that who he was on the show?
he was a vice principal of air conditioning repair.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, and it was like that's like my favorite line. One of my favorite lines of the whole show. And thank God you're here because we literally the problem with this podcast is that we never talk about the show. It's until like we have a friend that comes on.
We've answered a total of 4 questions.
Gillian, like I'm not even kidding.
Podcasts.
This is real talk. These are all like I've printed out over the last 3 weeks. I have printed out 30 questions to
A lot
be
of
answered.
a lot of the people who wrote those questions passed away from old age. That's how long we've neglected these questions.
It's been so, and then Joel and I were talking. Like, I think it's safe to say the two people in the cast that know the most about Community, like factually, are you and Danny Pudi. I feel like you guys. I feel like there is no one that remembers. I think maybe we're all narcissists and only remember the scenes of, that we're.
Danny's been great on the podcast. He's been on for almost a total of 4 minutes.
Oh, really? You let him on for that long?
Well, I think
barely.
Well, I think we're trying to. Well, we prank called Gillian first. I would actually say Gillian was the first person to appear on the podcast while we're figuring it out, and then Danny, we're like, hey, let's just do some bits and maybe it'll work, and then we'll have him wait 3 hours and just do a 4-second bit, and then I'm like, maybe we just. We need help, honestly, because we get a lot of questions in general about Community, and the Darkest Timeline stuff is just building up. I do feel that we go to the person most qualified to answer questions that don't deal with like Chang or Wing, or just the show better than everybody else. So
I disagree with Ken on this, Gillian. So I don't want you to feel any pressure.
Great, thank you very much.
What do you think? Do you think you know the show more than you quote the show?
I'd say maybe I remember filming the show more than some of you.
Yeah, I would agree about that.
I don't know if I remember everything that happened in every episode, but I think I've reminded you, Ken, of many things that happened while we were filming it.
Did you? I have a thing where, like, we watch
so many things. I know. I just think of bad tapes.
You've moved into your trophy room.
I know. Oh no. Okay, that's a whole other.
I was already giving him shit about it.
She was giving me shit.
What's the antler thing up there?
Okay, that's the Spike Awards from 2010. That
you got a Spike Award.
I just did something for YouTube Learning where I'm teaching some kids biology, and they're like, "Hey, show like all of your wares," and I'm like, I said, I got nothing recent. And then they're just like, just do it anyway. So it took me an hour to come, because I just went to various rooms and closets and just got four things.
And a lot of
I don't think they're even mine. Yeah, I think they're like group
teaching
awards.
Kids to biology, Ken, do they go, wow, look at that. A 98% fresh award.
Yeah, a 98% fresh award.
Mom, Dad, guess who's teaching me biology?
I think I have
a man with an award from the Spike TV network that does not exist.
I think I have a TV Guide cover, but I swear to God, I think it's like the monkey. You know what I mean? It's just the monkey of Community, and like no one else in the cast. But it's like something that I saved. So,
what is the antler up there? What is the golden claw?
That's the Spike Awards, because
isn't it like Guy's Choice Awards?
See, you know more than. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. Let me just get this.
I can't believe you're teaching kids, and you're like, I can't wait. And YouTube's like, you need to impress them. You need to impress them. And the guys, dear Lord.
What did you win for?
Guy movie of the
year. You know what?
Did you win it for the
my friend?
Did you win it for the next 9 hangovers that came out?
You're like, I might have been a doctor, but I would have to say, God, I think you're like the smartest person in the whole cast. I know that's not saying much. I mean, but it's like you. Oh God, sorry. I don't mean to.
Why don't you take this opportunity to rank intelligence?
Oh my God.
Okay. Oh yeah, I will. I'm glad you brought that up. I think. I think Gillian is first.
Okay.
I think Pudi is. I've just always thought he's just really intelligent, and I always thought he's just smart. And I think Yvette, and then I think Jim Rash, and then I think Allison.
Okay.
Why
Joel,
are you doing this?
And then what?
Okay. So Donald's the last one.
Huh?
Nice.
And Donald.
So Donald. And where's Chevy on that?
I thought you were asking about latter season 5's cast members. Let me finish. Hickey. Jonathan Banks always prefers. I keep up with Jonathan Banks, and he's always, please call me Hickey. He's always like that. He's really, really, really fond of it.
Throat out.
And
he was always threatening the writers to tear their throats out.
Oh man, That's
would
the
be
best part.
which would be so terrible in the writers' room as they're throwing out ideas with torn
I
throats.
think this might be the only opportunity to talk about like often undercited actor on Community, Jonathan Banks, who is a legend and was on our show for 10 or 11 episodes, right? I think of the 5th season. I thought he was great. I love, man.
He's terrific.
He's amazing, but he had no idea what he was in for. He
No.
was just that guy who was just like,
But
I have
how
no
could
idea.
you explain to someone what they were in
I
for?
know. You can't.
I mean,
You can't
thank
explain.
God none of them realized, because we would have never gotten any guest stars, or no one would have joined the cast if they had actually realized what they were signing up for.
Yeah, it's either you know the. It's kind of like either you know the playbook. I've been watching that Last Dance ESPN documentary on ESPN. So I got Phil.
You're
Jackson.
watching the ESPN documentary on ESPN?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's where it was. Go ahead. That is.
This should be called the Dickest Podline with Joe McHale as the Dick, and then. But I think this is. But the Last Dance. It's all about Phil Jackson, who ran this kind of triangle offense, which is a kind of a weird offense to run in basketball. It's like you can't describe it. And then certain amazing players couldn't really adapt to that offense. And I think that, or it just took a while to kind of figure it out. And Jonathan Banks is a dear friend of mine, and I don't think he would mind me saying, like, he's still figuring it out right now. He's still trying to figure out the show. And he would often ask, like, what's this show about? You're not funny. I do a great Banks. Ken, you're not funny.
your throat out.
Ken, you're not funny, and I'll slit your throat out. And, but he's I love him to death. I mean, we become like lifelong friends. And, but I would always say, hey man, this is just, and I would honestly, hey, man, this is just my jam. This is like, I get everything about these scripts and the tone, I get it. Well, I don't. He's like, he doesn't mind. And
Remember when we had Betty White on?
Oh, she was lovely.
She was amazing.
I
couldn't be
was scared
lovelier.
to talk to her. No, couldn't have been nicer.
But, I mean, Hollywood royalty, one of the legendary.
Yeah.
But when the hours started piling up, and then she had to come back the next day.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, we're gonna kill Betty White here. She's putting in 16-hour days with us, and it's not just dialogue. There's lots happening. And I remember the next day she was in the makeup chair and she pointed to her. She had like a blood vessel thing. She was like, "This happened last night."
Oh.
She goes, "What can we do about that?" And they're like, "Don't worry, we'll figure it out."
Like on the white of her eye? In the white of her eye?
Yeah.
Subconjunctival hemorrhage.
Ken goes immediately.
Subconjunctival hemorrhage. As I
Yeah,
do the
no, that's...
Yeah.
White of her eye. Are you listening?
Yeah, no. And then she pulled out her Guy's Choice Award, and I was just like, damn, she's nobody.
I mean,
that is a murder weapon.
I know. I'm going to get impaled on this during the podcast.
I've
always figured I'd go out like this anyway. It's fine.
Guys love antlers.
Yeah, guys.
Like,
I know. Guys like two things: gold and antlers. That's what all dudes love. Guy talk.
I thought it was I thought it was an antenna.
Okay.
Okay.
Jesus. Okay. It's already been 20
All
minutes.
right,
I haven't
ask
asked a
me a
fucking
question
All
from
right.
the pile of questions.
Yeah, my question is, what are you doing about wall coverings?
Wall coverings.
I mean, what's going on behind you? Are you going to put up something?
Yeah, but this room isn't really finished yet. But I have to be connected by an Ethernet cable, so this is closest to the base door.
This is why we because I think we were reaching out like, hey, you want to do the pod? She goes like, I don't have my audio is great, said Gillian Jacobs, and it was like, that's the new normal we all live in right now, where if you don't have Wi-Fi, then if the Wi-Fi spotty in certain areas, then you got to get the Ethernet cable.
I am directing this documentary, and we're doing interviews over Skype, and my Wi-Fi was so bad that I had to be in the basement for 2 weeks because they got me a very short Ethernet cable originally, and my router's in my basement. So I spent 2 weeks in my basement, and I think, terrifying for everyone I was interviewing. So they've thankfully gotten me a longer cable so I can now be on the ground floor.
What's the name of your documentary? The Great Outdoors? It's just like all about
I'm sorry, Gillian.
You do the pointy thing. That's. I remember I did something on the Yahoo year. I did some. I improvised some shitty take, and you looked at me. No one laughed, and it was like 200 people. There was like a group scene, and you looked at me, and Gillian just looked at me just like this, so used to all my moves at that. Ken, say that for Dr. Ken, or something like that. It was like the most amazing, and everyone laughed. It was, and I laughed. It was, and I did save it for Dr. Ken, and then we got canceled. So it's like exactly what happened.
Hey, but we all were on Dr. Ken.
We're all see
on Dr. Ken.
You were like you guys. It was. I literally got most everybody on Dr. Ken, and it was actually shout out to Gillian because it was your idea to have me get Dan Harmon on the series finale. That would not have happened if it wasn't because when you guest starred on it and you said who's all been on the show, and then I said okay, Joel and everybody else, and you're just like get Dan. And I was like, yeah, he's not gonna say yes. My little Huckleberry. And the moment I texted him, like, boom, he was in.
He's a great actor,
dude. He stole all the scenes, and it was like we had a runner. If we had gotten a third season, that in the series finale,
You got a second season?
We got a second season.
Okay.
We got a second season.
That's great. Oh, okay. I learned another thing.
That was awesome. Okay, let me finish.
Great. I'll write that down.
Okay, just let me finish. And then third season, we would have a runner where my character gets on Community because it was Dr. Ken was also owned by Sony, so I get on a Community type show, and Dan gets fired. He actually pitched this idea himself. It's like maybe that Community show in that universe gets canceled because I was hired on it, and then Dan also loses his job, and he becomes like a permanent patient of mine in the clinic, and just ask me nothing but medical questions. It would have been like the most amazing. I mean, I already told the showrunner, like I already had ideas of him coming in just out of the blue, just asking symptoms and stuff like that. It would have been, yeah, that was going to be the third season kind of runner, and just bring in Dan as much as possible because he literally.
Is there any chance you'll get a third season? What? Oh.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I tell you, man, no one's quicker to the draw. I was watching.
I'm a dick.
Oh God.
Gillian would agree I'm a dick, right, Gillian?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Remember what you said that one or two podcasts ago? Oh God, because I was looking at the edit, and then you were saying, "No, Ken, you're great on Community. You're right there, right next to all the guest stars." The way you said it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, by the way, Gillian,
I can't help it. I was.
Gillian,
I'm wounded.
The funniest thing I've ever heard Joel say ever was he was interviewing this Seattle researcher at Fred Hutchinson Hospital. That's a leading research hospital in Seattle, worldwide for virology research. And it was a great interview Joel did. He did all, like, I can't bag on it because it was actually a perfect interview. And at the very end, and he didn't joke around at all for like an hour. And at the very end, he goes to the guy, and the guy doesn't necessarily know us.
Dr. Joshua Schiffer.
And he goes, Dr. Schiffer, do you want to ask me about the Community movie? And just stood there, and like, and Dr. Schiffer was like, I'm just really here to talk about COVID-19, and just.
I don't think he knew what Community was.
It was, dude. I was on my treadmill, and I literally just went like that. So.
See, Gillian, do you like how we?
Anyway, are we even? We're 54 minutes.
Should we answer a question with Gillian?
Okay, here's one question. Okay, this is graphical user interface asks.
Whoa. Graphical user interface?
That's the name of the handle.
Okay, graphical user.
It's at GM Giacomini. Says, hey guys, I'm not even kidding. Hey guys, can you tell us more about the MeowMeowBeenz episode?
Oh, that was a great episode.
I don't know. Let's go to another question.
Right. Okay.
All right. Very good.
No, that was a great episode.
That was a great one. For Joel.
No. We can talk. I was joking.
Okay. All right. what I remember about the MeowMeowBeenz was I still have it on my old phone because you guys will send sometimes like old videos and photos and of the show, and I had it on all of my Android phone, and I've since discarded my Android phone, and I didn't save any of my stuff. So, and I didn't realize that. And there's a great one of MeowMeowBeenz where you had Steve Agee and
Tim and Eric.
No, it was Steve Agee and it was the people from the Sarah Silverman
Brian
show.
Posehn.
Brian Posehn, and they were talking about the MeowMeowBeenz app. And my favorite thing was, I don't know why, I think I was just videoing you two and the Dean and Jim Rash, and it was just your reactions to it. And my favorite thing was, oh, my MeowMeowBeenz. I was like Jim Rash, just saying that over and over, and then like yelling, like at the end of the video. You turned and looked to the camera about to laugh, much like you did on the Dean's Payday rap. You had that same look. No, but you didn't break. It was, but that's all, So that's my memory.
I was so excited that Tim and Eric were guest starring in the episode. I love them. I love their show. So I basically would just go over to them and be like, and that one time on Steve Brule, and then that other time on Tim and Eric, and I just would pepper them with questions. Those two and Shangela were probably the guest stars I was most excited for.
And who was the other one?
Shangela, drag superstar Shangela.
Oh, yes. On the Pierce's father's funeral? Yeah. Yes. That's right. Funeral. I remember that. You're right. I think those are the times I just saw you beside yourself with happiness. I do remember
That's one of those.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
that's one of those things where you walk into that scene with Tim and Eric, and I saw the crazy set and with all the crazy outfits we were wearing, and that's when I go, thank God I'm on this show. Because there is... I remember in graduate school, thank you, I went to graduate school, where we were doing ridiculous plays at the University of Washington. What did I study?
What did you study?
Medicine. What did I study? Fuck you. No, I studied...
What if you had that hidden degree and you never talked about it and you make me look like an idiot? Dude, I'm a doctor too, man. I just saw some patients.
Well,
you're such a dick for bringing up your medical degree all the time.
It was like Good Will Hunting, where I was doing medicine, but then I'd sneak into a theater, nail a monologue, and then sneak back out. It was not...
I'm quoting articles, and you're like, Ken, and after the podcast, Ken, I just... I don't mean to be a dick, but I wrote that article. I wrote that article that you were saying.
No, my favorite thing on the show was that all of your improvs were still medical, Ken, even though your character was a Spanish teacher. Anytime you
I honestly don't remember that. Like,
you would just always slip in medical terms.
No, I don't remember.
Yes, all the time.
Really? I've seen your Jeong doing when
that was probably at 4 a.m. That's all he had left in the gas tank was just very complicated medical terms and diseases.
Ken, say whatever you want. And action. Okay, acetyl-CoA of the Krebs cycle. Am I right? Electron transport chain.
Ken, can you do one that pertains to being a security guard?
Yeah, I said electron transport chain.
I loved that season when you were the security guard and...
That was a good one.
Wait, before we go back to security guard, I want to say Mitch Hurwitz in Meow. Who played Kugler, and I had never met the man. The guy is the creator of Arrested Development, and Dan had this thing where he was hiring showrunners to be actors, and
Vince Gilligan, right?
Vince Gilligan was on, and so Mitch Hurwitz, I had never met him, and we had done. He had been on that season, and I pride myself in not breaking. And not fall, there was only a few,
me too. I'm the same way.
Ken and Jim were always able to get me pretty good. But Mitch Hurwitz, no one, I swear to you, to date has ever made me laugh so hard in takes. And I had always heard someone said, when you bust in takes, that makes you an asshole because you're ruining that take for them.
Yes.
So instead of laughing, because you would laugh in their face when they're being this funny, I would turn away. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to cut, but I would I'd be looking at him, and then I'd start laughing and go, and walk out of the shot to maybe they can justify it somehow that my character just turns away for some reason. And because he was so funny. And then I remember I walked in on him with his pants in a scene. I was just walking through the set, but his pants were down. He was on top of a copier machine, and they were filming him. And I was just like, wow, Mitch Hurwitz, creator of Arrested Development. I hope they're getting a really good shot of your butthole right now. And he was so funny that it didn't make, I mean, there were the times when Donald would do a number of characters in between where I couldn't keep it together. But during the actual takes, I couldn't. He was so funny.
Mitch Hurwitz was like Jim Rash, Donald Glover-esque. It was, and I think it was even more impactful because it just surprised everybody. No one knew, and I just kept asking him.
I didn't know.
Yeah. And I was like, "Have you ever done acting?" I think he was recurring on Workaholics, and I was like, "You gotta." I just kept saying, "You gotta because all my scenes were with him. And I was like, "You gotta act more." I mean, I don't know how because he was doing the Arrested Development Netflix season at that time, but I was like, you gotta just. I mean, that's some of the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. You're right. I totally forgot about Coogler. And then he came back for the Paintball episode in the Yahoo year. I think but I remember
the tag for that episode with him. That is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They were filming Joel, where it's like an '80s movie trailer. Is one of the funniest things I think we ever did.
You know what? One of the funniest things I've ever seen, rewatching the Hot Lava episode lately. I think during when it was happening, I don't think I appreciated it as much because I don't know. I think I was all like worried that Donald was leaving and then Dan had just arrived. So we're kind of like, I think maybe I'm like thinking about my next job or whatever's going on. But rewatching the Hot Lava episode with my kids. It's their favorite episode. It's so good, and the Jeff Britta, my kids quote you guys all the time about Floor. It's about hitting the plunger battle with the Floor, and you guys, it's the most tightly worded battle scene between two, like whether it's paintball or whatever theme it was, but you guys had this. It's so beautiful. I dare not even try to replicate it because you guys had a rhythm. You guys were in a flow, like on a flow. And then when Britta wins, you're like, floor, bitch. And it was just beautiful. I mean, it was like, and to see like Zoe, like when it's good when like my daughter like watch it again because my daughter's on a rewind of that episode. And there's one that, because like Zoe is, she's definitely into creative writing. She's into doing like stop motion animation. She does these things for her class, and she loves the line in Hot Lava where did you hit your head with other people's head? There was like a head line that was like classic Harmon wordplay.
My kid, because I can't remember any of the episodes, and they started watching. The Hot Lava flap, is that the plunger, and the battle scene began, and I was clearing the table, and Isaac, my 12-year-old, goes, "Dad, come back in here, you lose." Finding ways.
Well, I love that paintball because the first paintball your character won, and then the second season you give your winger speech, and it looks like you're going to win again, and then you just get shot, and you say something very, very unselfish. And then you just walk away. Okay, well, I won. Who cares? Let's all go home. It was really funny. It was a good way to disarm. But, okay, this is what we
have to let Gillian talk at some point.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She got in a comment about how she has a longer Ethernet cable, and then we haven't stopped talking.
Okay. How about this, Gil? What at Dana Scully asked.
Oh.
I know Joel would pipe up with that. Which paintball episode was most fun to shoot for you?
I'll take this.
I think the first one, just because we had never done it before, we were so giddy doing it. I think we were in that phase of the show of like, I can't believe we're being allowed to do this. I can't believe we're getting away with this. And it just felt like we were getting away with things making this show for a broadcast network. So So I think that's my favorite one. And Justin Lin directed it, and he was incredible. And yeah, I think the first one.
I remember
You guys?
Yeah, I think the first one because it was first, and I think when I remember at the table read when they said, and in the script, in the scene directions, Jeff and Britta have sex. I remember everyone just applauded in the table at the table read. I remember that. And I remember, I forgot who was sitting beside him. I was just looking. I was like, because we're all invested in, in Jeff and Britta at this point, and I just looked at someone, an actor. I literally made a face like this. Ooh.
And they're like, save it for Dr. Ken in 5 years.
That's what Gillian said in 2009. I said, really? I'm not looking to have a show. Oh, it's going to happen. That's what she said. And then you're going to beg me to be on.
So when my kid would watch, when Isaac, my other kid didn't care, but when he would see the part where we begin making out, he would, this is like 2 years ago, up until 2 years ago, but he would just get up and run out of the room, like playfully screaming. He'd be like, well,
I mean, how weird must that be to see your dad kissing somebody else on TV? Is
that weird?
Wow, it would have been for me.
Why do you?
Yes.
Wait, what? I literally saw you take that person. I literally saw you take that personally. Was that weird? Whoa, what's wrong? What's wrong?
What was weird about that?
What? What's wrong? What's wrong?
Oh yeah, it was weird. I remember going home and I was like, Sarah would be like, "How did it go today?" I was like,
I don't know.
For like an hour.
Yeah.
He was like, "How was it?" I was like, "Oh, terrible."
You don't describe the scenes. What happened? I don't know. Chang took off his shoes and whatever. I don't know what it was. Okay, let's go on. Here's another one here.
I can't believe we've gone through 2 questions.
This is so good. We're like doubled our record right now.
Will you ask her a question about outsource to make it just mix it up?
Dear Twitter 2010. At Better Call Tyler ask, is there anything...
Wait. At Better Call Tyler?
Yeah, Better Call Tyler.
All
That's his name. But he actually follows, he asks a lot of questions that I think we might have tried to ask one recently.
Well, let's not.
He said, is there any prop you have kept from any of the community sets?
Yes. Hold on. They're nearby.
Too short.
Yeah.
Hold.
Okay.
Shirt that was attacked by the 60s.
Well,
top of a chair.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And that is the Darkest Timeline podcast. We have waited 1 hour. She hasn't come back. We're still waiting. What?
I have no.
What is it? I have no memory.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I see.
Jesus.
At one point, we thought we were canceled, which was,
Can you be more specific?
Every 10 minutes.
And one of the line producers gave me these 3 guys that were in Troy and Abed's apartment.
Oh.
They hung on a shelf. I should have given them back when we weren't canceled, but I kept them. And then I also have the tiny sombrero that I put on the frog when I'm trying to pull the prank.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That.
You know how much that's worth?
$5 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That was a frog episode first season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Jesus.
But Gillian, you're seeing now. I mean, now I'm bragging. We're all bragging. No, but you see on Netflix now how the show has done well, right?
Yes.
Is there? Do you feel vindicated after? I mean, believe me, we were all on TV and we all were getting paid, and nobody. Yes, we put in long hours, blah blah blah. But our dream of being on television was obviously coming true. But that said, it was like a strange. As Dan always called it, our time slot was Vietnam, and but now with it being successful, do you or deemed successful now? Do you feel like, we showed you?
Well, yeah, of course. It only took 11 years.
Yeah.
No, I think we all knew that we were making something special, and I think that we were confident in what we were doing. We were fans of the show, which is really, I think, truly winning the lottery as an actor on a long running television show, that you're as much of a fan of the show as the audiences. And I remember on Thursday nights, of course, we'd still be filming at 8:00. So we'd all be in our trailers and they'd be like dragging us out of our trailers to go back to set to keep filming because the show was on. And that, I mean, I think that really said something about the quality of the show, that we all loved it this much. But I guess it makes sense that it took this long. I mean, it did feel of its time and ahead of its time at the same time. So I'm just glad that people are seeing it. Yeah, I mean, what other way would it have gone with us?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah,
it's been like instantly successful. What would have happened then? It probably wouldn't have been the show that we all love.
It would have changed it for sure, right?
Changed. Ken would have phoned.
I would have been fired. like, the moment I got fired, then the ratings go through the roof, and then it would have been. So
no, I think I read it like it galvanized us in a way that we fought for. Everyone did everything they could to promote the show.
Yeah.
Except for Ken, because he was always filming the next. Like I don't know. I think they've done like 12 hangovers at this point, and I'm sorry, Ken. And but
I know you're saying it lovingly, so.
And I've said this before on the podcast, but there was this narrative that was, the show's ratings are low, so you guys are always on the bubble. And I was like, our ratings are not low. We beat the other people on that evening, and we're up against the hardest show on television, The Big Bang Theory.
And not that it matters, because I'm a numbers guy. Not that it matters.
I'm still mad about it. Go ahead.
I know, but not that it matters at this time. But our ratings were on average higher than Parks and Rec. I'm sorry, you look at the demographic, like our rating. So I think it wasn't. We always joked internally. We joke about our ratings, but
it shows you that nobody ever came out of Parks and Rec and was successful.
No,
I mean,
they cursed all of them. It was so weird.
I mean, other than literally all of them,
and they're all and that's no beef at all, because like you guys, I have several friends on that show, so I'm very but I'm just saying.
Are you friends with Chris Pratt?
Friendly, yeah, I love Chris.
Yeah, when's the last time you talked to him?
You know what? Real talk. Okay, we're coming back from.
How many times?
Tran and the kids were coming back from Seattle. Your stomping grounds. They're coming back from Seattle to visit in-laws. They were on the kids were on the same flight as Chris, and Tran and I have met Chris in the past.
You guys split a private jet?
And no, and
that's so cool.
And
how was?
You're such a dick, dude.
How were the hors d'oeuvres?
And then Tran texted me. I think Chris is on the flight, and it's like, oh yeah, text Chris. Said just tell him said hello, and at the end of and she didn't want to bother him until the end of the flight, and she went up to Chris. Oh yeah, I'm Ken's wife, and they exchanged pleasantries, and Tran did it very discreetly, and then Chris went to our kids, Alexa and Zoe, and said, oh yeah, so what are you guys doing here? He's just making small talk. And I remember Zoe in particular, she told me yeah, I'm just doing this, just coming back from Seattle, I'm just kind of tired. And then as soon as he left, she said, that was Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. And Zoe literally had her mouth was wide open for a week, because how lovely Chris Pratt is. And
that was a recurring thing in season 6 that I had forgotten, was Jeff Winger's jealousy.
I kept talking
about. Oh, that's right. That was on an episode, right? You're jealous. That's so funny.
I'd be like, when I work out, and then if I take my shirt off, that's like going to a premiere. It's.
Wait, hold on. Here's another thing. Whoa, okay. My Ethernet cable.
How many? They sent you 50 yards of it?
100 foot. I have to.
Oh, there's all your wall coverings are on the ground.
I'm going to show you guys something.
What did you just... Oh.
Oh, my God. She came prepared. Are you...
Wow. Where'd you get that?
It's the Dean. I went to one of the fan art shows.
You went to Communicon and got that, right?
I went to every Communicon.
So did I.
And I also
that's right. I didn't.
Fan art show. And someone made, they drew Jim in every costume he'd worn up to that point. I don't remember which season it was.
That's amazing. That really is. I would like that.
I have another thing to show you both. Hold
man,
on.
I really want that too. Oh my god, I just saw that red, white,
What
and
if
blue
she just
outfit.
never came back here, Ken? What if she just left it open like that?
I know. That would actually be the greatest podcast ever.
And then
we
Amy
just stay
Poehler,
here.
Amy Poehler sat down and started yelling.
Yeah. She yells at me for like ragging on. Oh.
So
Yeah.
Rob Schraub gave me this because he made the art for Britta, the mother of whatever my name was. Britta, all hail the one true five. Yeah, so Rob gave me this poster after
the
we
one true
wrapped.
five, because that's a MeowMeowBeenz episode where Britta went from no meows to 5 meows, right? Yeah. I'm sorry. Am I saying that out loud?
No meows to 5 meows.
And then everyone, did you get all the tweets when there was some Black Mirror episode that did something similar?
Yes, I saw it.
I saw it as well. Yeah, we did it first.
Was it hilarious?
It was. I thought it was very good, but it was obviously very intense and very dramatic. But Communities was the first, and I literally was like, I couldn't stop watching it because I was comparing it to me, and I kept telling Tran ours was better, and she's like, Tran's like, not a contest, and it's like,
way to go.
Yeah, she goes, it was. I mean, Black Mirror.
It's a great episode, but
every episode's amazing. But
hopefully people will start, as you said, Joel, finding the show on Netflix and realizing.
Well, they have to now because it's always, at least maybe it's just on my front page.
No, I mean, I think just Joe. Well, I remember Joe Russo said it's just going to be. He told me it's going to be on every. It's going to be on the front page all the time, and it is just. It's not about where. It's not about kind of where it is, but what platform and the ease of getting to that. Because there's so much content now. It's not about having a show. It's about access to that show, and there's no easier platform than Netflix in terms of you just go there, boom, it's just right there.
Where can we stream Dr. Ken?
Dr. Ken actually is.
It's right next to the Great Indoors.
Yeah. We have a
they're
combo.
always
We did a combo DVD package, and
Friendster started
we're at Great Indoor Con. We went to Did you remember that Great Indoor Con? I was
Yes,
there.
it was held in.
Even though I never guest starred on it, but I spoke. I spoke very highly of you.
I held it in my own home. It was in a closet.
Yeah, but shout out to belated shout out to one of your co-stars on Great Indoor, Christine Coe, who played. She was the lead in Tiger Tail, that Alan Yang directed film with Seema. It's like my favorite film of the year. It's on Netflix's too. She just knocks that out of the park. So
she is tremendous.
She got. Right. One of her biggest gigs was on one of her starting jobs. Was really her big break was on your show. So there you go.
Yeah, that's why that show still continues.
No,
right, Gillian?
Yes.
Would you like to make a comment about Christine Coe?
I can't wait to see that film. I've honestly heard a lot of great things about that movie, and I want to watch it.
My favorite film of the year. And Alan Yang, senior writer of Parks and Rec, full circle. Okay, now moving on.
Gillian, my kids watched the what is it? The Model UN episode. Where you and Ken.
Oh God. The Britta Chang. That's
the Britta where that romance started, and
it followed in Lionel Richie's Hello. I
have all the burnt Barbies all over a unitard. I wore a lot of unitards on Community.
You did wear a lot of unitards.
Okay.
They put me in a lot of unitards.
Why was that?
I don't know. I remember I didn't quite understand what the tree costume was going to be, and I remember just opening my trailer door and just seeing that unitard hanging there.
Let's just be thankful that all of Ken's costumes weren't unitards. Right? I mean,
okay, this is I haven't thought about this in years.
When you're right in the camera, Ken. But go ahead.
At the very end, when Chang lists Britta,
oh no,
you spit in my face, and I remember the director. I forgot who directed it. I think one of the Russos, and he said you can't see the spit, and so you had more spit, and you literally had to build a loogie, and they used the most graphic spit, and it was the biggest loogie, and Chang is dead inside, so I'm not supposed to go ugh! Like I literally, and they used that the last grossest take. So when you see Chang hold Britta at the end,
after electrocuting her,
boom, after tasing her. Oh, by the way, they wouldn't let because I'm not a very strong man. I'm a very weak man, and I couldn't lift you well because you put your arm around the back of my neck so I could lift you better, so you could help me. And then they're like, that's not reading, because she would be fully passed out. And so I had to lift you. And it's anybody, and it was like I was struggling, and then I'm struggling lifting you because I'm a very weak, physically weak man, and I'm looking, I look at you,
spitting in your face,
and you spit in my face, and there was one take like this, I was just and I just walk away, and it's like glob and glob, pre-COVID, but glob.
Were you?
Glob.
Did it bother you that she spit? Because being a doctor,
driving.
Did it drive you crazy?
No, it doesn't, because when you're in, I think because it was early on in the show's run, and then when I'm in character, I don't care. It's only the aftermath of it, So I actually didn't care. I think towards the end, I think 5th and 6th years, I've got tired. I remember Menzukas poured a cup of coffee on top of my head. And by that time, I was so burned out, I kept annoying. And Jim Rash was directing that episode. So I kept asking Jim over and over and over again, please let that coffee be cold. And he goes, yeah, I can. Why do you keep asking me all that? I'm just tired, man. And like, can you make sure that coffee's cold? Because I just did not want scalding coffee. And I remember.
Well, who would?
I know. I just remember making that a thing. And
then he screamed, too cold, when it was poured on him.
And then Dan to this day teases me about that. Man, you're really, of all the battles you chose on Yahoo, you're really like, you doubled down on the coffee. It was like, oh God, the spitting of it.
Do you remember that kettle corn episode where we all ate so much kettle corn? Like the first 5 takes, we were just shoveling it in our mouths, and then it occurred to me, I have to match this for all the coverage for the rest of the day. I've never felt so. I don't think I've eaten kettle corn since. It was repulsive.
And this is a story that's been told at
We will
at
not
Comic-Con.
be sponsored by Coke Zero Kettle
When
Corn
Chevy
flavor.
refused to say, for some reason, he refused to say kettle corn. He goes, the only line to say to Shirley, I still remember this vividly, Shirley, this is the best kettle corn I've ever tasted in my life. So you need to vote for kettle corn instead of chanting.
Next time, vote for kettle corn.
Next time, vote for kettle corn. And he would not ever
He wouldn't say it.
He actually said, next time, vote for corn.
Kern.
Well, he said it became a joke for years of just going kern, and we would go get kettle corn or refer to it as but he refused to say it.
He just refused to say it. And I never, to this day, I don't know why. And there was no one upset about it. He just said, all right, next time, kern.
I think we know
kept
why.
doing it 10 different takes. And then to this day, me and Danny just say kern. Danny says it more than because I just remember. I just could not stop laughing at.
And you had
refusal.
such a huge monologue in that scene, Joel.
Yeah,
you had to deliver like a page-long monologue.
That's Chevy's eyes went back in his head when the first time I said the whole monologue. So that was.
I don't think you get enough. No one, man. You had the longest monologues at the last second. That was
and
Danny
and Danny and Joel had to learn. Insane.
I will say, in that particular monologue, they cut out a line that Ken, you were so excited about, and I was so excited because I go, he's Chinese, but he seems Korean.
Yes.
And NBC made them cut it.
Oh, is that the deal? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was my understanding. It was like a network, like you can't say that.
That's ridiculous because
of all the things,
things we've done on that show, they get rep sweats over that. It doesn't make any sense. And in the 5th season, we actually say something like, "I swear I feel Korean." I think there was some joke when Jeff had the GI Jeff episode, which was another.
They
thing.
weren't paying attention by the 5th season. They knew they were going to cancel us.
I think that I do remember.
No, they weren't. I mean, they truly weren't. I don't think they were. I mean, remember how one of the tags is on YouTube right now, and it's called FUNBC.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fake fall lineup because...
I remember. Yes. The school board guys, right? The school board guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they had, Questlove was in it. And
yes.
BJ Novak from The Office was in it.
Novak was in it.
Was like
a mummy?
The mummy. Yeah, he was the mummy, and he would just go like this, like that.
And you
It was
were
real.
wearing like a leather jacket, Ken, and you did a slow turn.
Yeah, it
into
was
the
like
camera.
Chang. Yeah, I was part of that montage. It's like Chang and the school board has its own spin-offs, like Mind Reader or Thought Jacker. I hijack your thoughts. It was like from
and because there had been a comment made about when we were returning, I think the president at the time of NBC made a comment going like, "Yeah, no, it'll come back at some point, maybe this summer or fall, or I don't know, some point." And
there was a parting shot at it. There was a sarcastic line at it, like.
Oh, that's also. Do you remember when we were supposed to premiere October 19th, and then they pushed our date, and I asked if we could make a promo for October 19th, something for the fans, because there'd been all this build up to October 19th, and then Megan wrote that.
Did you
remember we did that?
I remember doing that.
Megan
that
Gantz,
was everyone
incredible
wore.
Megan Gantz.
Everyone wore the goatee, right? Is that the one? Was that you? That like pushed
Yeah,
that?
because there had been so much build up to this. You know, the show's coming back, and then they pushed our release date indefinitely. And I said we should do something and release it on October 19th.
Man, I just emailed
That
Megan
was
recently.
really
man.
nice of you.
I just emailed Megan recently, and I just did another community podcast, like 6 seasons in a podcast, and they were really good. And they interviewed Megan and me, and it just, just going back to like the second, because she started on the second season, Megan did, and that's where she wrote the bottle episode, she wrote all the documentary episodes, and all
Megan went on to write for Modern Family.
Yeah, Modern Family. She's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. She's a showrunner of Mythic Quest that Danny Pudi's also in, and which is it's a great show, and I love Danny in that show. But
why do you hate Danny in the show?
Oh no, I said I love
Jealous.
Danny.
He
I just said
Just because I tested, I tested for Brian, I didn't get it. Why should we talk about that right now? Not the point. Not the point.
No. You did a real big ramp up into this, so go ahead.
But I think Megan really got Britta, and I think Megan because I think remember we were talking over the phone about like how in the timeline episode that's like my favorite Britta episode, but rewatching like season 2 stuff, I mean you just see Britta just kind of evolving, and I don't even know how to describe the evolution of Britta, but it started like season 2. It really, there's something in I was rewatching the D&D episode, and even on like the montage of all the study group, and you're just doing something like Britta, the self-righteous, the needlessly, and you did something with this little acting movement that I love, and you just started doing this, I just remember like, okay, this is where Britta begins, there was just kind of, there's that point. My whole point is like Megan really just,
amazing.
Savior of season 4, along with Jim Rash and the Freaky Friday episode.
And her beautiful 7'5" husband Humphrey Kerr is also amazingly. I swear, because of you, Ken, I started watching other episodes because I'm like, I don't remember what happened, and this is what happens from head injuries and wine, but when you were...
That's your spin-off podcast, Joel.
Yeah. I'll just go like, what is this? It's a pencil. What does it do? And no, it was where you were wanting to counsel everybody, Gillian, and you're like, I'm a psych major. Oh, and then the joke that I told, I was like, do you remember how at the beginning of this relationship, you were the smart one? And then... It made me so. Then you made everybody. Oh, it was so great.
And I remember Jeff.
John Hodgman.
Yeah, I remember Jeff corrected. I remember when you corrected Britta on something psychological, and she shoots right back. Yeah, what are you, my final? That's like the best. That's like the best line. Like I love that line. And then, okay, this is the last question I do want to.
We got to like 4
ask.
questions. I think this is the end of the podcast. I think we have to stop the podcast.
No. I think you guys are the best to answer this. This is at JBT official. Ask, what was it like?
Oh, JBT official.
Yeah. What was it like?
Damn.
Justin Turner, but not to be confused with the Justin Turner who I believe is a baseball player for the Dodgers. Okay, so what was it like shooting?
But it's JBT official, so it is the baseball player?
What if it was? Oral Hershiser wants to know about. So what was it like shooting the Remedial Chaos Theory episode? I wasn't in it. I remember it took a lot of days.
Oh God,
I don't think
that's
I've ever
the timeline
asked anybody.
episode?
Yeah. Timeline episode. That, to my memory, I'll just lead you guys in. I remember even asking you, Joe, like, you guys were doing reshoots even during the second week of filming. Like, we'd get up in splinter units and still finish that. I heard it took like 8 9 days to complete. Because
More than that.
Really?
I'd say.
Because each episode of television takes 5 days to complete for the listener.
In theory.
In theory.
I will say, and this is again bragging about the show, is that you'd get like a 27 or 34 page script, but we didn't shoot it like it was a documentary like so many of the other shows do. We made a movie every week, and every time that Sony was told, they were like, we're not going to complete the episode. And Sony would go, you have to complete the episode. And then they're like, yeah, well, we're not going to. And they would just do this denial of, I mean, God bless you, Sony, for making the show and paying for it. But we began to, the episodes would just get pushed and pushed. And so that's why I would have a hard time keeping track of which episode we were shooting and what was happening towards the end of the season, because we were shooting 4 at a time. But so this became one of those episodes. Yeah. I mean, and I remember the hair and makeup department would just stare at photographs going, okay, and then you're wearing that and you look like that and it was always this wonderful, I mean, just like, God bless the time, because we get to shoot all these things. But and I remember Dan, because Gillian would sing Roxanne,
Oh, that's right.
and no one would pay for it. They're like, we're not going to pay for that.
They didn't prepay for it? They didn't prepay for...
Oh, no, Dan paid for it.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where Dan paid for songs out of pocket.
Had, like, when you guys did Hello, and yesterday was the first time I've seen it in years, I thought, there's no way Dan didn't pay for that. He must have paid huge through that. Huge money. Yeah, so he paid... He always was putting out his own money.
I also remember I think, shot a scene for that episode the week it aired on television. I think Yvette and I shot a scene maybe on Monday and it aired on Thursday because we still had not completed the episode. And we would be in the middle of shooting a completely different episode. And because it was the Troy and Abed apartment, we could just go back to it. It wasn't like a set just for that episode. And I remember them being like, go put on those clothes. We're going back. We got another scene. And I think it was supposed to air as the 3rd episode of the 3rd season. So they made Troy and Abed's apartment 303. But then it aired as the 4th episode. So when I was doing ADR, I think I made some comment. I think I ad-libbed something that's at the top of the episode about I thought they lived.
Yeah, you're like, I thought there was 304. No, it's 3.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah, that was wow. That was improv on. Wow, that wasn't scripted in the script.
No.
Wow. I remember you were like closest to the fire in the darkest timeline scene, right, Gillian? I mean, were you like closest to that fire?
I think me? There was behind the scary. Counter.
Okay, I remember.
I feel like I was throwing water from behind
throwing water at a huge fire, and Pierce is bleeding out. I just remember thinking, as an actor, I'm like, wow, that.
Oh, I'd love to get the list of everybody they offered that pizza delivery guy part to who passed, because every single actor they offered it to pass. Do you remember that, Joel?
No.
No.
Never. Oh, they tried to stunt cast the pizza delivery guy when I go down.
Oh, right.
Like we're getting married. And they offered it to so many people and they all passed. No one wanted to be on our show.
No.
That would be such a great cameo, too, because, wait, there are other timelines? That's
I think John Goodman was the only one that, he's like, I'd love to be on that show. I think he was the only one.
I remember Taran Killam was really excited to be.
Yeah,
Taran is amazing.
Yeah, Taran watched the show and loved the show, and he was excited to be there. But they offered that pizza delivery guy part to so many people, and they all passed.
And it turned out to be, I forgot. I remember, I don't know. It was someone who was a working actor, but didn't he come back later that year
it was
or
Christian
something?
Bale. It was Christian Bale. We got him.
Transformative. You guys gotta get Chris McKenna on this podcast.
Yeah, does he remember? I mean, just because of the.
I don't know. He'll remember something.
No, Chris. For those of you out there, Chris McKenna was a writer on the show and has gone on to write little movies like
Spider-Man, Jumanji. He wrote both Spider-Mans with Eric Summers, who also wrote on Community, and Dr. Ken. And that's been. I have a question for both of you guys. Did any writers from Community like write for your subsequent shows like Love or Great Indoors? Did anyone, just even junior writers or writers starting out write for either one? I'm just curious.
No, but I did. Joel and I both just did Twilight Zone, which Alex Rubens runs that show, and Alex wrote on Community.
Oh, isn't Alex
I've worked with other community, animated jobs. I've worked with other writers from Community on other things, but no, I don't think anyone wrote on Love.
Alex Rubens is that's a great guy. That guy, the last 2 years, he was kind of like the guy on site. He was like, our Buddha, but white and thin. You know what I mean? He was just such a lovely presence and on set, and just so funny. Many times when they would still be breaking the story in the writer's room as we were already shooting that episode, and we would say to Alex, "What is this about?" And he'd say, "I don't know, let me call them," because they're still breaking the story. And I remember, do you remember the 8-bit video game episode? Oh, yeah.
So they had written the beginning and they had written the end, but they hadn't written the middle of the episode because it was all going to be 8-bit animation. Right. And it was the final day of shooting of that season. And I remember, Joel, you said, "How are we supposed to do the end scenes? We don't know what happens in the middle." And I said, "Well, we usually learn something about friendship and come out on top, so let's just be happy."
Good instinct.
You're directing already. You're directing.
But it was like one of many times when we literally did not know. We were shooting the end of the episode and we had no idea what had happened in the bulk of the episode.
Dreamatorium. I still.
Oh God.
I had no knowledge. I still think I don't know what went on.
Oh,
I don't know.
Paintball season 2, the Western / Star Wars one. They had no idea what it was about as we were shooting it. I remember them being like, "Look at Donald, like look longingly at Donald, look jealously." Why? There might be something between your two characters in this episode. And then we had to go back and reshoot that scene because they totally cut that B storyline.
So they were threading that even at the end of the second season with Britta and Troy?
My direction was look at Donald, so I don't know what the storyline was.
Well, how about the finale, the actual finale, the Yahoo finale? We were waiting. It was the same thing, but when you saw it together, I think it's one of the best series finales ever. Ever.
I would agree.
And it was...
Even though we shut down a streaming service.
We shut down... Yeah, I remember...
We single-handedly...
Yes, that's what you...
Paul Feig and us just shut the whole thing.
When
that's
Yahoo Screen shut down, because there were 2 other shows in production, all right? Everyone had a budget, and it said, they had a picture of Community Cast, Yahoo Screen closes, loses $42 million. And then... Gil was the first one to say, "Well, it's good to know that Community, that we all are responsible for the downfall of Yahoo." It was like the way they spun it made me laugh.
Oh, no, there was a direct quote. They were like, shows like Paul Feig's and Community.
Right, there were 2 other shows along with us.
It was like, even then I was like, you guys didn't really know what you were getting into apparently, because you can't just pretend one season's gonna work and obviously now it's doing what's doing, but come on. And now it's owned by T-Mobile, right? Or Verizon? Who bought them?
I don't know.
Oh, I have no idea. I've really fallen off on my Yahoo News.
What? That's the Gillian that I know.
Gil. Miss you so much, man. It's just so good.
You guys want to go out to dinner tonight?
I'm busy. I'm really busy, but I would. But I just
Ken's still wandering his house looking for his awards.
I got more awards to look for. I got
to impress the kids while he's teaching them biology over
It's YouTube Learning. Check it out. I highly recommend it if you guys, get the opportunity. It's so much fun.
Did you have someone fact check your biology lesson before you?
Oh no, it was all tightly written and I couldn't improvise.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah. So no, it was all legit. They wouldn't let me go off script.
Oh no.
No. I tried that. I tried brainstorming. They're like, no.
Was there a prompter? Did you have a teleprompter, or did you have to read it?
They had a script, and I got to put some input on it, and then they ran it by prompter, and honestly, it's one of the coolest things I've done, because I'm literally taught AP Bio. But not to be confused with the show AP Bio. but I actually taught AT, and that was a lot of fun. And I learned, just kind of, it's a lot of Gillian. You would like it, Joel. You would hate it, but Gillian, you would love it because you're the smartest one. Joel, you'd be a good student, maybe.
You have a show where you like blow up model trucks or anything?
No, they don't. That's not.
Oh, do you remember that show, Destroy, Build, Destroy, that Andrew WK had, where kids would build things and then they blow it up and then make something else? No. Oh yeah, that was a great show.
That's still on?
I don't think so, but it was a great
amazing.
Show.
The best title for a show I've ever heard.
That's great. Oh man.
How long have we been talking, Andrew?
An hour and 40 minutes.
Oh.
And Gillian's been on for an hour?
Gillian's been on for an hour and 2 minutes and change.
And I felt every minute of it.
Ouch!
We're keeping that in. We're keeping that in. That's what we
drunk old Matt Damon, our producer.
I don't know if you can see Andrew. That's Andrew, who looks like young drunk Damon. So
he's the best producer that I've ever worked with.
Me and Joel, best. It takes us 1 hour to set up our equipment. I'm not even lying. The reason why we asked you to come on 1 hour later is because we're always 1 hour late.
Joel, you still have the background blur function on. I know.
I like it. Don't you like it? I like it.
You do not want me to attempt to turn it off.
See the 3 dots on the bottom right corner. More options.
Don't do that.
Click on that.
I like it. I like it blurred. I like it.
All right.
I actually enjoy it. I don't know. But she is
you choose background effect. Let's see.
There we go. Here's something I got left over. No, hold on. Here it is.
Oh, great. Oh, man. Joel's doing a Gillian. Just go.
No.
You got a headshot you want to show?
The headshot. Here's a little something that I'm going to save for some sort of charity event. These.
You have scripts?
All signed scripts.
Oh! What episode was that?
They're all I got the pilot.
That one? Yeah.
Remedial chaos theory. So I got this pile of signed scripts.
That's awesome.
Which I will never give to you. No, sorry. I will do it. There's that.
If you guys got props, I got mine.
Oh, here's this, Ken.
My chain props.
Yeah, that's you.
A good one. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Remember we shot that during our lunch break on the cafeteria set?
Yes.
Yeah, congrats, you won.
Do you remember our 100th episode party? And normally shows get a red carpet evening event, and they just during our lunch had it once again on the cafeteria set. And I don't even think we got
we got a cake.
I think we got cupcakes.
We got
some of them were ones and some of them were zeros.
100 episodes. That
was. I mean, other shows you see they get a whole red carpet event.
It wasn't it was just three. It was just three people.
One guy.
It's three people of the cast. And,
it was.
And Glenn Edelman of Sony, who I did Dr. Ken with. I just remember Glenn. He was developing Dr. Ken with me, and he hadn't been on a community set in ages. And I was just like, Glenn, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm always here. I'm like, no, you're not. Just Glenn, Britta, and it was, and Jonathan Banks came back for the 100th episode photo.
I can't believe I'm on the 100th episode.
I can't believe I'm on the 100th episode, and you're not.
I can't believe we've done 100 of these things. Yeah. I still don't know what it is.
Absolutely, you're right. I just remember
They also had our wrap party on our own set one year. They decorated the cafeteria, and then the crew said the next year none of them would come if they had it. Because I think the art department had to decorate their own wrap party.
Yeah, and then take it down and put it back to the set.
And so then they're like, okay, we'll still have it on the Paramount lot. We won't rent out a restaurant or anything or have it be at a remote location, but okay, fine, we won't have it on your own set.
I think
that's too funny.
We need to get Donald to pay for it next time.
What season was that? That was, oh my god.
I think season 1 it was on our own stage. And maybe
yes, it definitely was.
Season 2 it was at that Paramount Theater.
And I remember Glee launched the same year, and they had all the press and all the nominations, and all their parties were like, "We're coming to you live from the Glee rap party."
Streamed live on Fox.
And do you remember
is hosting?
Their base camp was right by the where we all parked, and they had all the privacy screens because the paparazzi were like always trying to sneak pictures of them coming out of their trailers. And we were practically like waving, like, "Hey, over here,
guys,
we're at show 2."
And the paparazzi's like, "Can you please
move out of the
get this?
way?
I'm
Can you
trying
move
to.
out of the
There's
way?"
that guy."
Oh, good times, man.
All right.
And then, I remember the Paramount Studio tours would come by, and the host of the tour would be like, "And here's the set of Community," and just blank faces,
Couldn't slow down.
no recognition.
They were like it's like a community year. They wouldn't even. Yeah.
Is that show with the monkey? Yeah, I wanted to see the Kamunkity.
Oh, Kamunkity?
Yeah, you coined that. That was you. Shooting
Gillian,
with a monkey.
we've kept you on here for way too long.
All right.
Yeah.
And I think no, don't leave yet.
Oh.
yeah. No,
Gotta
this is just,
wrap it up.
This
and
is
slow.
just a pre-interview. So
Oh.
yeah.
When we get to the actual,
when we get the
thing,
actual interview,
it'll be very in
it's
depth.
oh my god, it's gonna be great.
No, because I don't know how long these things should go on, and I'm always like,
We're arbitrarily at 90, and then sometimes we go sooner.
Yeah.
Longer.
Allison came on last week, took a gummy bear, and fell out of her chair. It was great. And oh my gosh, you gotta watch her, Gillian. It was. Funny. I will say I'm not. Look, we hope you come on again. We probably after you complete your house and your documentary. But I will say, working with Gillian, I was like, I felt like I had hit such a lottery that I was sitting next to you, Gillian, because you were so like good and so mature and so like just a normal person. And I was like, oh my gosh, if this had been almost anybody else, 6 years would be tough. And now look, we're talking over talking to you over a pandemic camera, and I just every time I see you, I'm just like, there's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I feel the same way because just watching, every time we're all in a bad mood or just it was just always long hours. You just always always keep everything bright, and it was just so much fun. To be a part of something where we're all on the same page and we're all leaning on each other because we all believe in the project. I don't think I've ever experienced that. I don't think I ever will. It was just we all just leaned on each other, and that was.
I would agree. You're probably never going to experience that, but
it was.
Sorry.
Oh man, and that was. Oh god, I remember that. I know you don't like talking about it, probably, Gil, but it was like that finale episode, man. There was. I have the DVD, and I was watching the season 6, and I think Paget Brewster, who was on and like crushed it that year. She even said, was talking how when Danny Pudi was doing the finale speech about what's TV, and it made Gillian cry, and then but Britta was also crying and using it as a great joke to help undercut that monologue. But just to see Gillian was staring at me and Paget and Jim, and she was just true tears, and I was off camera, and I was just. I ugly cry when I cry. It's like, I make noise, and I was doing everything I can to not, I was crying. And then Pat just started crying because she was watching me cry, and then it was so wonderfully draining that day. It was just and then
tears.
It was just a lot of, and then Danny started crying, and it was just that's one of the loveliest days of my career, and it was just seeing just all of us there, and it was just us in the
in that basement of that parking garage,
the basement of CBS Radford that 6th year.
Oh yeah.
And then we're later shooting. I remember we're later shooting the where Jeff Winger says, "Imagine the second season in Close Your Eyes," and I remember I couldn't stop crying because we had just done that bar scene, and then I was still crying. And I don't think Allison was in that scene yet, and then Allison was she goes, she was mocking my ugly cry. She didn't know the content. She went like this. I think Allison was like, and then she saw me really crying because I just looked up like a baby. I went, they're still crying. And she was like, "Aw," and she started giving me a hug. It was like a beautiful. It was It's like that, it's kind of like a sibling seeing a sibling crying, like, oh, you cry.
No, but that is a true thing. Is like I'm an only child, and I felt like being in community. It was like I got to experience what it was like to have siblings. That's also what the show felt like, and to be a part of like a family in that way.
Yeah, we were real siblings that saying just. You and I, at our most obnoxious, I don't think we can even say it on here. We would just go at it like brother and sister. We would have so much fun in the morning, just stuff that can't be said. It was like you and I just going at it and just being really, really mean to each other. And people are just like, if guest stars are going, what is going on? And they were just
as the show went on, I remember when Paget and Keith joined the show, all of us consciously saying to each other, like, we have to stop just speaking in jokes and quoting previous episodes of the show, because I'm sure it was completely indecipherable what we were saying most of the time.
Yeah.
We were like
Kern. People would
or like quoting ad libs that never made it onto the show, but we loved and we would still repeat. But even dedicated viewers of the show would have no idea what we're talking about. Like
5 cans. The way,
oh my God.
Because the way Jim said 5 cans in the final take, in the final cut, was different than how we would say it all 6 season. Because we would say that one take that the inflection was so high. 5 cans.
5 cans.
Oh man. Well, love you so much, Gillian.
Love you guys.
Gillian, we kept you on for a long time.
Sorry, we kept you on.
We can't thank you enough.
Fine.
We're gonna buy you a new sweatshirt for staying on so long.
Okay, I'll send you some ones I'd like.
Great. I'm too old to wear something like that. So, all right, we'll see you next week, Gillian.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yeah.
See you next week. Well, to do the show.
Yeah, next
Okay.
week.
The real
Okay,
show.
call time is 11 a.m. Okay, great.
Bye.
Bye.
You're the best, Gil.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Ken.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh,
Oh, all right. Well, Ken,
Yeah.
that's the show, I think, and we.
Look at
I
this.
love that girl, woman.
Just
I met her when she was like, I don't know, like
yeah. You met her. This was her first major TV job,
Yeah.
right? I mean, her first major.
say.
Major job.
I already said it before. That when she walked in the room, I'm not a believer in like she walked in the room and had the part, but that was one of those ones where I was like, no, that's it. She's it. Oh my gosh.
And
everyone was-
specifically, you're talking about like a final screen test or a chemistry read where you
it was
were
just
already booked a
First
part,
time I met her. No, I ever had met her to just cold read.
and you had a cold read with Gillian in the room in front of the network and studio and the producers.
No, it was just Dan and the Russos.
Oh wow, really? It
And-
was just them?
Yeah, it was just Dan and the Russos.
Smart.
We
So
all
smart.
were immediately like her, and the casting director, and then it was us. Like of course the network had ideas about names they wanted, and everyone was chiming
Of
in. And we're
course,
like
of
her, and then she got it at the table read. They were driving there. They're like, you don't have it yet.
I heard about that story. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get her on and talk about that. But
Yeah.
Ken,
All right.
um,
Good times.
always good times. Let's
Man.
do it again. Should we do it again next week?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I think so.
I think-
Andrew, you want to do one of these?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to wash my hands after this just because I'm still paranoid. I saw too many Guys' Choice Awards in this episode.
Yeah. Anyway, just
Oh,
on behalf
stop
of me and the
thinking I don't
Guys'
have one
Choice
of those.
Awards,
I have to do something.
just want to thank everybody for this award. I just want to thank the guys, and I want to thank people choosing the guys. You're watching Spot
I'll let you
TV.
finish this.
Bye.
I'll just let you finish it.
wait, come back. I can't finish on my own. No, I have abandonment issues. Please stop.
All right.
All right. Alrighty.
All right, my wife's going to kill me.
Bye.
Guys, I love you.
Love you too.
And that was really fun.